All right. Hey, welcome. It's been a while. Good to be back. Yeah, welcome everybody. So today we're going to be working on refactoring some of the questionable design decisions I have made in my CoreRAD program. Well, I guess maybe not questionable, but the thing is you can intelligently design things as much as possible, but ultimately, as the project continues to grow and expand, you end up with kind of different needs than when you started. So kind of what I've been going through now is I'm at the point where pretty much every function needs something like a logger and metrics and all this other stuff passed to it. So I'm trying to kind of refactor that mess. So I've been doing this on and off all week, and I wasn't really sure I was going to even stream today or this weekend. I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and I've gotten back, and I haven't been super motivated. But I figured let's give this a shot and just kind of see how it goes, right? Perhaps ease myself back into it a little bit. So yeah, today should be pretty interesting. Basically, the idea is beforehand, lots of functions would take things like a logger, metrics, etc., and we're refactoring it into this context type that's going to hold all this information. And also, we can do things like plumbing in the zero values appropriately. So if you specify a nil logger, nil metrics, whatever else, it will give you same defaults that will either drop your logs, drop your metrics, etc. Yeah, so I've been working on this like on and off for a couple of days, but I've been having a hard time motivating myself. So I hope that going on stream will motivate me to do this. So yeah, we'll see. Where were we? I think I was basically, I want to make it so that this is safe to use everywhere in the program. I would make sure that if the context is nil or either the fields are nil, it will degrade safely without having to write nil guards in everywhere else around the program. So I think that's roughly where I left off. So let's see what we can do. I changed all the logger field names. Maybe I should, actually, I should probably use the Go refactoring tools to do this instead. Oh, I was already halfway through. Fun. Okay. Well, let's go with it. Diving right in. Yeah, So in lots of places, I'm passing this logger directly. But the problem with that is if I pass the logger directly and it's nil, it will result in a panic eventually, and I don't want that. So I think what I need to do is plumb that context type in throughout these task types as well, I would think. Or don't the tasks have a run method? Actually, I should pass them in. Yeah, I could pass it to the run method, I think. That would be fine as well. So this context type is not the Go context. Hey, Cbro, welcome. This context type is not the Go context. I use that for cancellation and such too, but this is kind of the application context. The things like your logger, your metrics, how you manipulate the system state, configuration, etc. Hey, welcome, Large Databank. Thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Hope you had a good stream yesterday. I only caught the tail end of it, unfortunately, but welcome. Good to see you here. I think I should probably just pass that context directly to these run functions, but let's get this compiling first because I was in the middle of making a big mess. So I guess just to show you where I'm at right now, like I've got tons and tons of changes. Like I've been messing with this for the better part of a week now, and I'm not thrilled, but I figure perhaps if we show some of the nitty-gritty stuff, it will motivate me to make it better, right? So let's see here. Logger. Yeah. The problem is too is the system package can't rely on the context in this package, and I tried to factor it out otherwise, but it was not really working so well. Yeah, GoWatch is this little crappy. I'll show you. This little crappy shell script I have. There are smarter tools that can do this exact same thing. Hey, Jimmy, welcome. There are smarter tools that can do this as well, but this is what I use. It works fine. I need to make something better. Or I know there are better tools I could be using for this, but this is my little cheater way of running tests over and over again. So this system, the system types can't use this context type, which is problematic. Oh, no worries. Oh, the cat implementation? Yeah, one sec. This is what's it called? Rust bat tool. Yeah, this is this. It's called bat. It is basically a smarter cat tool with syntax highlighting and such. So I use this as my cat replacement, actually. And it's one of those things I'm so used to, like I don't even notice it anymore, you know? So we're going to have to leave that system type alone, but I think we can refactor the rest. Let's see. Bat, SK, ripgrab, exa, Rust tooling, Unix. Yeah, I like all these little Rust implementations of tools. They're pretty good, you know. How do I want to do this? Okay, let's keep going with where we're at. So this is now the local logger. So sctx.logger. This still isn't as clean as I would like, but that's why we're here. I am using you all to shame me into fixing my code. Because I really want to push a stable release of this, but I haven't yet. We're getting to about that point, though, where we can. This is going to want to be the constructor, I think, actually. Shame-driven development. Yeah, exactly. For real, though. The thing is with me is, like, I see software development as kind of like a craftsmanship thing, you know? So, like, I don't ever want to put out bad work, like, whether it's open source, closed source, whatever else. And, like, I haven't committed this because I'm not happy with it. And I've gone back and forth like 3 different times, but I'm hoping that, you know, like I said, being on stream here will pressure me into working on this and figuring it out. So, do we have the configuration here? We have the interface config, yeah. Why does this need the config? Oh, it needs the interfaces. Right. How do I want to do that? It's actually unhealthy for learning new things. Not everything needs to be production ready. Yeah, for sure. I guess in my case, like, I've been working on this program for, you know, I guess coming up on like 8 months now. It's been running on my land since January. It's running on other people's lands as well. So it works really well. It's just that, you know, of course, there are things I would just like to fix as far as like the code goes. So I'm just doing my best to tidy things where I can. I guess before I do any more mass refactoring, let's just fix the compilation errors. So 854. Oh man, I forgot all my VS Code shortcuts too. I know there's a VS Code shortcut for jumping to a line. I cannot remember it. Uh, 183. Logs everywhere. Okay, panicking. That's good. That means that something is working. So, listener line 160, 147, listener test line 53. Okay. I remember, it's kind of funny, the first time when I first started doing Go and I saw these panics, I was like, you know, you see all these hexadecimal addresses and stuff, you're like, what's going on? But it's actually like, when you've been doing Go for a long enough period of time, you kind of look at these, you're like, okay, oh, right there. You know, and you can just kind of tell like where you really need to look in the panic. I know there are cool tools out there, like I think it's called Panic Parse. There's some kind of tool that can like print this in like a pretty way, but I've gotten so used to it, I just don't really have a need, you know. 53. It's trying to log. Yeah, it is. So this is where we would want the, what do you call it? Log new. Util discard. Panic Parse is super nice. Never remember to use it though. Yeah, totally. It's one of those things where like I tend to install tools like that and then just forget about them, honestly. This is looking like the same problem elsewhere. Okay. Monitor test 187. I was in the middle of trying to fix up this constructor situation, but we're not there quite yet. Context needs a logger. Yep, there we go. And again, server test line 84. Is this logging as well? It is. Why is build tasks logging? That doesn't... I can't think of why it would. I mean... Okay, there we go. The test passed. So this works, but definitely I'm not happy enough to commit this at the moment. So... I guess potentially I could stage the changes, right? That's not a bad idea. HTTP. Okay, so now their changes are staged at least, so we can have a place to come back to where things compile. Yeah, I could do that. Nice. 3 cats emotes. Never expected to see those in my stream. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, honestly. You're right. Okay, so getting back to what I was talking about. I want this context constructor because I want to make it so that this will degrade gracefully if you call any methods. Like if you try and log anything on a nil logger, it will just degrade. Stuff like that. So let's see here. I guess in that case, we'd want to make methods for logging and such, I think. You know, I had a code that looked very similar to this a few days ago, and I cannot remember why I removed it. So I guess we'll see, right? That should work. Okay. Monitor listener server. Okay. Tidy up. Printf. Right, yeah, okay. Log F. Yep. I don't want to do a mass search and replace because there's lots of places where I use LL. The convention I have is LL for a local logger. That's a convention we started using at DigitalOcean, and it's just kind of stuck with me. And then I use MM for the metrics node I pass around because MM goes after LL. For no other reason than the fact that it's just an easy little thing for me to remember and immediately spot. Okay, listener. Printf. Oh, we already... Oh, I didn't click on it. Okay. Printf. Yep, same deal. So the server type's the big one for sure. It's going to take me a while to probably get this plumbed in the way I would like, but we'll make it work. Why does this... Do I really want this to print? I mean, I guess it's kind of useful for the user. The Rust logging tracing libs logging automatically creates spans for you, so you can just import tracing and automatically get flame graphs. Nice, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've had similar stuff before, but the problem is that like in an open source project, I feel like it's hard to have such like a dogmatic approach, you know. I'm kind of trying to take things like piecemeal here, but I think this context type, never seen it in Go. Gotcha. I think this context type could be the future for something like that, because if I were to add tracing in this program, this context type is where it would go. So kind of the goal here is to set up or move a bunch of like initialization and logging logic into one place, and then I can like mass refactor. I can change lots of code at once just by changing that one place, because right now there are so many copies in the program of like initializing like a nil logger. It's just it kind of was driving me nuts, so I decided I wanted to fix the problem, you know. Let's go to the next call site. Oops. This is another log F. And then what was that last one? That was serve. Context is still cancer? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think that when used like well, the context type is very useful, you know. I think that in general you shouldn't like carry values around in it. Like in this case, like I'm not using that context to carry my values. I'm using my own like application context, but I have seen very nice uses of things like request IDs being passed along in the context and integrated automatically with like a distributed tracing system, and that's pretty nice. And of course for cancellation, like the context package is like my best friend for that. So it's I see what you mean. It definitely does tend to infect everything, but I guess I don't really mind. Hey Cbro, thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your breakfast. Let's see. Yeah, these probably all just want the application context as well, roughly. Because all these things do logging too. Yeah. You wish it were more possible to replace the context implementation. Well, it is an interface, so I guess I'm curious what you mean by replace. Because like I've seen a couple of use cases where people actually create their own context types for very specialized cases, but I almost never need to. Ignoring infection, I think it tries to do too many things and isn't great at any of them. Yeah, I can see that. I would like to see a first class like cancellation primitive, perhaps in the standard library, you know, or perhaps as part of the language, right? So that way you could do things like IO cancellation without having to add a parameter everywhere. But I think that for cancellation and stuff, it's pretty okay as is, but they have weird hacks that only work with the default implementation. Context cancellation has fast paths just for standard lib context. Yes, that is true. That is true. The problem with context is that people are abusing and using it in ways that it's not intended, but to control a flow, it's just awesome. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I feel too. I've seen people do things like put the database connection into context, and like you're going down a bad road. I think that way. You'll end up regretting it. Let's do what I was talking about earlier. Let's plumb in this application context, I think, as a parameter to a few places here. So instead of passing things like a logger, I can pass it to the run function, I think. And I can also put the system denotifier in there. That'd be good too. Anything that's like kind of like application, you know, for telemetry and things, I'm kind of stuffing in this context type. Dot Waffle, hey, thanks. Welcome back. I'm not canceling this context. Yeah, I appreciate that. I was actually curious. I knew I had some subscribers, and I felt kind of guilty, like not streaming for a few weeks. Like I'll never fault anybody if they cancel. You know, I understand. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I will never fault anybody if they decide that, like, you know, they have other places they're going to spend their money. It's not a problem at all. But thank you. I do appreciate that. All right, let's plumb that in this way. So we'll get rid of the local loggers for all of these. I think we can remove it from here too, actually. Excuse me. So we're going to plumb this like it's a parameter for a lot of these functions here. What I want to do is this. No, not that. This. CCX. There we go. Okay. Just keep plumbing that through. Hey, new duck. Welcome. Not publicly anyway. If I cancel, it's because I got no fucking job. Yeah, fair enough. I understand that. Where was I? So we're plumbing it through now that way. So we can plumb in the system denotifier as well, which will save a bit of effort. So SD notifier. And then, see, I guess we're back to the problem is I can't decide like how much I actually want to put in this thing. Like, I feel like all the telemetry stuff is a good idea, but like, do I start putting things like the application configuration in here? Like, the goal here is to pass these things in a struct because I have things like loggers and metrics and telemetry that need to be passed around to all these types because I hate globals. But I've kind of run into a tricky problem here. I am working on trying to rectify some trying to clean up some of the bad design decisions I made. Some of the design decisions I made that once made sense and no longer made sense, rather. As I keep adding types and telemetry and such, all of my functions suddenly have like 6 or 7 parameters, and it's just getting out of hand. So I'm trying to create this type that can save me effort in that way and do all the initialization at once. So here's hoping. I guess we'll see. So I need to pass that system denotifier type somehow as well. Yeah, it's part of the context now. You're trying to fix weird browser-specific bugs in your web app. I do not envy you. It's been a very long time since I've done like web app type stuff, and I know it's a lot more challenging than people give it credit for. So kudos to you. But whew, excuse me. Context, plumbing everywhere. Okay. Yep. Right. Let's fix all these interface implementation errors. Ah, shoot. There we go. Why does serve take a log? Oh, that's right. So it needs to also take the context. The logger goes into the server. Yes. Okay. Interesting issue. You're facing a similar issue in a project of yours. You use the context that I'm sharing throughout the system. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, as I keep adding things like logging, tracing, systemd notifications, etc., I realized like I kind of have a need for something like this, but actually getting it plumbed in everywhere it needs to go is proving to be quite the hassle. So I kind of wish I had done this in the first place. Chrome works fine and is cool. Firefox can't type in new lines. You're making an IDE type thing. Nice. That sounds fun. Yeah, I guess browser compatibility is probably better than it used to be, but I remember for a long time things like Internet Explorer, of course, were a huge hassle in that regard. Context. This is now log f. You're investigating RPC messaging formats that consistently marshal across platforms. Protobuf, not so much. Maybe Captain Proto, maybe flat buffers. Protobuf does not consistently marshal across platforms. I guess I've never had a problem, but I also use it with Linux. So Chrome on new line puts a new line character. Firefox puts in a HTML break. That's weird. That seems too magic. Saw the code server thing, running VS Code on a server so you can get to it from any web browser. That's awesome. Yes, I agree, for sure. It's a super cool little thing. Context. So now a lot of my functions are going to have these two parameters where I plumb in the Go context and then my application context. But I guess that's okay. Text. Message. Guess it's fine to not pass any parameters. It's already formatted. That's fine. Systemd notification, right? Where are you getting the context from? Are you having an instance package having the context struct? I am not doing that because singletons are bad. I'm passing it from the main. So I'm creating this context type and then pulling it through the entire program with the main. And as a result, it's very explicit and you can actually control it for all the tests, which is good. But certainly it's difficult because I have to go through and change so many call sites. So it's a trade-off, but in my experience, like having any kind of like instance global singleton type thing is just, it's going to cause you more pain than it's worth. Need to pass this as the first parameter now. Singletons are bad, but the types are defined inside that package. I don't see why that would be a problem. I guess you could just use those types from the other packages anyway. Is this okay that Go projects have a mess in files and each file has tons of code? I mean, I don't see why not. Like, I mean, I've got 6 or 7 different packages here probably, and some of the packages have 15 files. I don't think it's a problem. Kind of, you want to divide packages along like natural boundaries. So you want a concept like HTTP, a concept like gRPC, a concept like database, like, or if it's just your application, if it's small enough, you could put it all in one package, really. But this program has gotten big enough where I have things kind of like the application logic, an operating system interaction layer, a HTTP server. Like I've got all these different kind of concepts going on, so that's why I have different packages. But in general, you should probably aim for fewer where possible. It will just make things easier for you. Oh boy. So this is very broken still? Yeah, okay. 93. Let's see here. Oh, that's right, the advertiser and such. But now if I start plumbing this into run, then I feel like I should just pass it into like everything, really. Guess it's not the worst idea. So what actually logs in here? Oh, that's right. We do have, yeah. Well, I ran into a case where I don't like where we're going with this already. Let's see. Yeah, this isn't going to work as well for some of the longer lived types because they have like these log f methods and everything, and these are used to append some additional information or prepend some additional information and such. So, what a hassle. Let me find some music here really quick. One sec. Okay, I think we're gonna back this out, and then we're gonna rethink this a little bit. So instead of putting it as part of the interface, I think I do want to keep plumbing this into like types as like a field because there's so many different things that have to plumb everywhere otherwise. And in theory, this thing is basically immutable once you construct it because like this is set at these are all set basically at the very beginning of the program. Oh shit, I got rid of the logger stuff. Damn. Let's think about this. So I think probably the most untidy place right now is like this server code, like all of this plumbing. I want to figure this out. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. But the problem is I can't pass this system package because the system package is imported by this package, and of course that would make a cycle. And if I put it somewhere else, then we end up in a nasty situation with things like metrics. Does this package have metrics? I don't think it does. Maybe it should. You can define an interface extending it where needed by introducing a wrapper. The wrapper can enrich the data as you described before. The wrapper returns a new context not affecting the parent context, similar to context with value. I see what you mean, but I think I'm not going for that here. The thing is like this is all set like at the very beginning, and it's just more so that I need to find a way to plumb it through all the types that need it without having to worry about import cycles and such. So this is immutable. I don't see us adding like more data to it. Basically, like we set it up in main and it's done. But it's just a matter of actually getting those things plumbed in where they need to go. Because, like, for example, this dialer needs to be able to manipulate the system's state as well as, like, the logging and... Yeah, I just can't figure out, like, how I want to do this, really. What's the test coverage look like for this right now? All right, here. Okay. So this passes in things like the system state and the logger, but we never actually use them. Or I guess we were using the logger for the debug server. I feel like maybe this shouldn't go here. This should go... If I remove this log statement, I think we might change the needs of this a little bit. So the problem is now is that this log is able to report what it has enabled as far as like things like Prometheus and pprof, and we don't have access to that anymore. But I feel like this might be a better spot for that, and then that previous function no longer has a dependency on logging, which is good. Actually, it still does. Shoot. Yeah, but these are all like, So right now, this function's job is to generate this list of tasks, which are then run. But the problem is it has some logging in here for the user, which is good. We like that data, but the problem is maybe I should put it up to a different layer because to notify the user without having to interfere with our existing code. I'm just trying to see what I can pull out of here, I guess. Advertise, monitor. Where's the logger used in here? Log F. Yeah, this has lots of logging as well. You got fiber to the premises that you placed a couple weeks ago, and the router supply doesn't do DHCP v6 PD. It gets a 56, but doesn't carve it up for downstream requests. So I'm in the market to replacement. APU 4D4 using router 7. I'm using NixOS, but I recommend it. But yes, router 7 also should work. Router 7 is pretty cool too, and I think it supports that functionality. Or yeah, I'm almost positive it does. But I use NixOS and I love that. So either way, use what works for you. I think Router 7 is a very cool project. I think my thing is there are more programs I want to run that I don't necessarily want to write myself. So things like, oh man, I'm running a lot of stuff in my router. So MD layer, home lab. Yeah, so core DNS, CoreRAD, ISC, DHCP, Trafic, traffic, whatever. Prometheus exporters. Like there's lots of things that could probably run on something like Router 7, but ultimately, or like, go crazy platform, but ultimately, like, I'd rather not have to rewrite some of these things myself. And these support lots and lots of different edge cases. And also I can enable services like, what do you call it? Modem manager. Like, I'd have to implement all of modem manager by myself, and like, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, NixOS is pretty sick. Would recommend. You're not sure if it's housemate friendly. Should read your config and see. Do you have UPnP and NetPnP? Yes, I have it through mini UPnPD right now. But I'm just testing that at the moment because I'm writing I've been working on a NetPnP package and PCP package, but it's not done yet. So, but yes, you can do this with NixOS. No worries. Just trying to see. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this to a point where I'm really like satisfied with like the abstractions. I don't know. Maybe I should leave it exported and just assume that the color will always configure it with the new context constructor. But the problem with that is that we end up having to pass in more state like the configuration that we don't necessarily have. So I guess the question is here is like, how do you construct this thing and pass it around? Because that will change our API contracts. Oh, hey, I missed a couple of follows. My apologies. Anton8Dev, thank you for the follow. And AJRO, thank you for the follow as well. I appreciate that. There may have been an alert on the stream, but I guess I didn't see it. I might have been lost in thought. Apologies. Yeah. So we construct this in all of the tests. So this will inform us as to what exactly we need to plumb into this. Context. Logger, metrics, state. So this one can use the constructor straight up, I think. Maybe I should require you to pass in the metrics on your own, too. But then we already have the state function too. The problem is these things are all kind of like entangled, and it's just because it all kind of grew as one package, but now that I've split it into multiple packages, it becomes harder. But by doing so, I was able to gain some nice separation. So for example, we used to have all of the retry logic as far as like dialing and establishing connection state. That used to all be part of the advertise function. And I split it out into this nice like system dialer type that handles all this transparently, which is really nice. But now that it's in a different package, I'm running into problems with that. So I'm just trying to figure out how I want to pass this stuff around. So the metrics type needs the state, needs to be able to manipulate the system state, or needs to be able to read it at least, and also grab the interfaces that are configured. So I guess let's unwind this really quick. So for each interface, we fetch the auto configuration and the forwarding state, because we need those to actually produce metrics, right? So those are pretty hard dependencies. If you guys know this, it's already interesting. Yeah, I'm just not happy with this yet. Like, I feel like we don't have quite the right abstractions in place. This seems right, but it's not. So you need the state, the interfaces. I guess maybe I should try and make this type like not as... I feel like I'm trying to make this type like really smart, and in reality it's just a container for things, like things I want to pass around the program. So perhaps I should just start with that and try to add more intelligence later on. So I guess what we could do is make it so the caller has to... could interesting middleware be a solution? I don't think this is really like a middleware type problem though. Like, this isn't like an HTTP server or anything. It's a totally custom like network traffic serving daemon. Metrics are generated through middleware functions. I see what you mean. Well, the problem... okay, I do see what you mean now. The problem with that is that there are a lot of different use cases, or a lot of different cases where we want to add a metric based on some... Let's see here. So router advertisement inconsistencies, messages received invalid total. We have like some level of middleware here as far as like this handling stuff goes, but the problem is that it's already, by that point, it's already plumbed down pretty deep into the program. So I don't think we could really push it up any further. If these are nil, what happens? So in order to make this degrade gracefully, if no interfaces, no states, so that would be nil. That would be nil. So maybe it's okay. Maybe I can just... So we'll pass the logger, the metrics, the system state. Pass the metrics directly. Do the tests pass? Not yet. 197. Okay. Right, this damn logging. Ugh. I guess I'll put it back to where it was for now, but I don't like this either. The tests failed briefly. Interesting, but now they work. So if I pass this everywhere it needs to go yet, I guess is the question. So the context is embedded within the server. The server uses it for things like printing logs and stuff. I can still make that logf helper, but I guess it's less useful now. The thing I like about the VS Code rename is you have to go through and save all the files, like when you make a change like that, which is a nuisance. I'm not sure why, but... let's see here. Looks like we got to fix this one manually. So you construct this once and then use it. .409. Server line 93. $648. Did it pass? No, it didn't. Okay, 856. Can't remember the VS Code shortcuts. That's so funny. All right. New context. Logs, metrics, state. $157. New context. No logs. We do capture metrics here. Okay. Oh, you can save all Control-K-S. Really? I had no idea. I know it's like one of those like silly things, but Control-K-S. Oh, I think I might hit those in the wrong order here. Okay. Control-K-S. Huh. Interesting. Cool. Today I learned. Control-K release S. Cool. So that works. So let's finish my thought here. Let's get rid of all these bare literal constructors because the outside is going to need to use them. Let's see here. Context. Chords in my VS Code is more likely than you think. Control-K toggles a modifier to other key bindings can get a bit much remembering tons. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm terrible when it comes to like keyboard shortcuts. Like I know like basic ones and stuff, but the thing is with me is that I tend to spend a lot more time like thinking than I do like hacking away to keyboard these days. So lots of shortcuts like don't really do me that much good. That's a cool one. I will try to remember that though. Why do I have logs? Sure. Metrics and the system state. Turn to search in the command palette 90% of the time. Yeah, I can relate to that. It's pretty handy. When you first started using a laptop, the trackpads were ass, so I optimized around shortcuts. Yeah, so I hardly ever use a laptop. I'm using the Kinesis Advantage 2. I love it. It is a good keyboard. It's expensive, but it's worth the money. Create a context. Discard the logs. We do use the metrics here. Do we need the system state at all? I don't think so. How about that? The test still passed. That's good. Okay, server test. We're getting there. Had unused kinesis in our old office closet. Yeah, kinesis are awesome. I mean, it takes some getting used to. So many people wanted to use them and never stuck with it. It takes probably 2 weeks to not feel miserable and then about a month to get good with it. But it's worth it. I know that sounds like a lot of effort, and it is, don't get me wrong, but it's worth it. Oh, no. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. This is getting cleaner. So I guess it's just a matter of figuring out, like, you know, what I'm willing to put up with as far as what's going on here? Why is this logging? Oh, we're passing the logger to all the... I see. Okay. No metrics, no state manipulation. You don't really get RSI. I think it's because you plant your wrists and don't really move much. Yeah, for me, it's all about like changing, trying to like kind of change positions and stuff, and like, you know, take breaks, stretch your hands, things like that. I try and switch every couple of days between mouse and trackball too. That seems to help, because otherwise, like, I'll get tired, like either, you know, using my wrist or using my thumb for the trackball. So those are all good things too. You stand and move around too. Yeah, me too. Actually, standing sounds pretty good. Should do that. Ooh. I've even got a nice standing desk mat I can use. Yeah, this definitely helps too. It'll also keep you awake if you're like falling asleep in like meetings and stuff. All right, well, we're getting there. Let's see here. One sec. What's going on Twitter? Cool. So this is a little tidier now. We've got this type that can take care of things like discarding metrics and such. Trying out some .NET Core right now feels bad, man. Maybe. I guess I haven't done .NET in ages. I don't know. You want a sit-stand convertible desk, but when you need to wait till you move to a new place first. Yeah, they're worth it. It's totally worth it. You can still fall asleep standing. You feel like a zombie at a standing desk before coffee. Yeah, I feel that. But I've had a good amount of coffee today, so. All right. How many places in this program now do we create new loggers? Because that's one of the problems I was trying to solve before. The dialer type. You can pass options as functions to set the options. This way you don't need to pass nil values everywhere the values are not used. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well, actually. I was thinking about the functional options approach. Especially as I add more types to this. It's either that or it's either functional options or you make it so that the context has like an initialization method. So you could do like, you know, func. Well, I think we're going to go with functional options anyway. I kind of like that approach better. I think the logger is like one of the only like mandatory parameters, but like everything else is pretty much optional. So, all right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some water. All right, yeah, functional options. I think I was thinking about that the other day too for this, and I feel like especially for things like the system D notifier and such, that could be useful. The thing is that the main consumer and package main will have to have all of them, but I guess it's okay. Context option, let's see here. A function that applies to the context type. So, logs metric state. I guess I can make it so the logger is mandatory because I feel like it's always going to be. Nil. Let's see here. I guess it depends. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I think maybe instead of doing the functional options thing, what I could potentially do too is make it so that you pass a... This is kind of weird, right? But what I could have is... I can make it so that there is a new context function that takes a context and then returns the context, and this actually does the initialization. So any fields you populate would be set the way you chose them to, but otherwise... you personally would not need to find it an issue to pass the logger as a function. I mean, it's not like that's that big of a deal, but like I'm just trying to think of like the cleanest way to do this without having to implement like a bunch of like options functions maybe. Which is why I kind of am thinking about like this kind of like merging function almost. Like you specify the inputs and it will set all the other outputs or something like that. But then it's possible for the caller to call the exported values, but I guess that's okay. I mean, I don't know. Or I can make like a context config struct if I wanted to as well. I haven't decided yet. The logger is the one thing that's needed pretty much everywhere. But we're going to add more things to this struct too. So... maybe like with logger. That's what I was thinking too. But appending the logger to the struct. Yeah, but that's the builder pattern stuff. I'd rather not do that either. I'd rather do the functional options at that point. The thing is, I can't decide if I want to add like a bunch of top level API for this or if it would get confusing. But I guess let's go with it for now. Let's do the options thing. Do something shit until you realize all the options to decide after. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. I see what you mean. The thing is we're going to end up at a point where this has like 5 different parameters, and it's going to be annoying to pass nil, 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 you know? So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards this. But I guess the alternative is making it so that there is no, or the kind of what I was talking about before, where you specify the exported fields that you want to set, and then it will initialize them with the rest. But I don't know. What's the system state? It's a spooky type name. Yeah, it is. It manages the operating system interface, or like the low-level operating system state. So things like your IPv6 auto configuration, forwarding, IPv6, yeah, stuff like that. So basically, it can like poke at the kernel more or less. And it's one of those things that's needed like just about everywhere too. Like you have to plumb it through the whole program. So I'm putting it as part of like this context structure. Because lots of different things need to be able to query the current forwarding state and such. I guess it doesn't have to be that way. I can make it so that there's some Go routine that's responsible for keeping track of that state, but I don't know. It's an interface so you could just pass nil. Yeah, you could. I think the problem is I'm trying to make it so that it gives you something more descriptive than a panic, but at the same time, I don't know. A single nil. I'm not sure what you mean. I think I'm doing that already. Like, I'm already checking for nil right here. See? So if I do this, I have to do that for every single option. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. I think I'm probably just going to leave this alone for now. Because I can't decide what I want to do. I'm just going to like commit this probably as it is. It still cleans up an awful lot of code. So, context carries application, context, and telemetry throughout the server and its tasks. New context produces context for use with a server. Any of the... Is that state thread safe? Yes. All of the implementations should be. Yeah. You hate doing stuff like that for all these reasons? Yeah, for sure. It is thread safe. Puts are nil, a no op, or no op implementation will be used. There we go. It's definitely an improvement. Like, there are certain things I'm still not totally happy with, especially as far as like the system package boundary. I suspect that potentially there could be like a system context as well, but I'm not ready to go there quite yet. Add context type for plumbing telemetry. Context type to clean up parameter lists. Let's go take a look at that on the old GitHub. Oh, you're trying to pry if it even needs to be in the context or if it can be stateless and then just constructed at every call site. For the operating system, that is true, but for the test implementations that can do things like return different state, that is not true. So we construct the application context. Oh, that doesn't even compile. I forgot to compile main. Oops, let's see here. Yeah, you need dependency injection for tests, gross. Yep. For sure. Ah, where'd I put... Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is not quite right anymore. Let's see here. New metrics. Oops. Metrics light, Prometheus, registry. This is what nerd stuffs the hell out of me. I'll refactor it all to remove the need for a dependency injection in the tests. You hate mocks. You hate state-driven testing. Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't disagree with you. I think that in this particular case, though, like there's so much like operating system state I have to like track and stuff in order to comply with different behaviors that it's kind of unavoidable. But I see what you mean. It's a lot better than it was. I'll tell you that. Like factoring out the system package really made things a lot cleaner. But there's certainly more that could be done. Make a big old var block here. That's when you build a finite state machine. Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm trying to think if there's like... I'm trying to think if there's any way I could like apply that concept, but I'm not sure. Overkill for some cases, yeah. I'm a couple months removed from this code in particular, so perhaps I can look at it again, especially the system stuff. Perhaps it could be remade in that way, but for now, I think it would be a bit difficult. Construct the necessary. Types to produce a context for the server. Construct a server, construct a context, plumb it throughout the HTTP handler and server. Okay, something like that. It's a little tidier. I guess I should. I didn't even test if it compiled again. I'm pretty sure it will this time, but it does not. Wow, I suck. Oh, the HTTP server doesn't compile. Okay, let's see here. What's going on here? Handler test? Yeah, that's right. Right, yeah, I made a mess of these, didn't I? Why'd I use the var block instead of without the braces? Because I like to group related variables in a block like that. I think it's just a little cleaner versus having like 5 different variable declarations in a row. And in that case, I was able to kind of like stage it as like a series of steps that plumb things together. So just personal preference, really. Do we have a logger for this? I don't think we do, actually. Let's take a config pointer or a config literal. Takes the literal, okay. You often do it when you're trying to make it clear that the variables are all related in some way. Yes, exactly. That was my exact goal as well. 104. Ah, now we run into a problem because that's unexported. Shoot. I don't really want to export it, but now it's being used in a different package. It's being called. So we don't have it quite right. The abstractions aren't quite there. Same thing with this logging. Yeah, it is tempting to try and refactor some of this system state logic away, perhaps into a Go routine that can be queried for that state or something, but then you have to have like channel message passing and stuff, and I don't know. For something where the state is all managed by the kernel, it seems like overkill, but I'm not sure. Today is a struggle. This is a struggle bus stream. There was a point where these things were all in one package and this was easier, but kind of the logic I was trying to go with is that you have the CoreRAD package is the neighbor discovery serving logic. The HTTP server is for debugging and analytics. The system package is for abstracting away the operating system. Like, I kind of got different concepts going on, but if state is managed by the kernel, make it stateless in your code base, make state someone else's problem. Yeah. I mean, you're right, but then the problem with that is that I need to... It is managed by the kernel, but for testing, we run into this same problem again. But I see what you mean. I'm trying to think of what the correct solution is here. I'd rather not just export the type, but I guess I could do that as an intermediate step, you know? Sounds like a problem with the test. Yeah, you could be right. I mean, definitely could be right about that. The problem is I can't think of any better way to do that in the tests at the moment. Because, for example, let's take a look here. So, for example, if the system tells us we aren't permitted to like fetch the state or something, I want to be able to test that case and see that we returned like an HTTP 500 or something, you know? So, I am trying to... I guess fetching it wouldn't fail in that way, but setting it definitely would. So it's possible for those things to return errors. And in order to simulate those cases, I need some way of swapping that out. I'm starting to think the context type shouldn't be plumbed into this package. Like, just like the other one, this should probably just take a logger explicitly. These are end-to-end tests, yeah. I guess I'm not sure what you mean by end-to-end. Like, I tend to... The thing is with me is that, like, I want to define things in such a way where I set up, like... I consider still, like, a client and server, like... Oh, shoot. HTTP request, like, a... I still consider that, like, to be, like, a valid unit test if you can all spin it up, like, in one little area, but... It's testing the handler, I guess. Yeah, right. So we can do this for now. Huge microkernel fan here. Kernels like parents shouldn't handle everything for you, otherwise you end up in a heavily opinionated user space. I see what you mean. You don't test entry points, handlers, CLI commands. Push that logic out of them. See, in my opinion, like, you need to test that, or else you don't know if, like, the actual, like, plumbing works, you know? But I see what you mean. I think I understand your argument. Shoot. Keyboard shortcut. I think for now we're gonna roll with this a little bit, but... if the handler is 20 lines and the outputs is the few things it calls tests right. Yeah, I mean, this handler's got like a fair amount of logic encapsulated within it. It also forces you to simplify your API often. Yeah. I mean, I could potentially factor this out into a function that can return for given... Like, I can refactor this inner body out, you know, and move this logic somewhere else, but... Tests are failing due to a panic, looks like. There we go. Okay, let's test literally everything. Just the main. Okay. Set up the old little development environment here. Go test run faster than cargo builds. Yeah, I mean, I'm also on a good CPU, but yeah, they probably do. Right. So. There we go. It still works. That's good. Okay. One more time. It would be interesting to try and get the state out of the... Oh, so here's a problem. It is possible for the forwarding state of an interface to change while the application is running, so it's not like I can just check it up front and pass true or false either. So I need some way of checking that state still in all those locations. So that's why I was talking maybe I could implement a Go routine or a type that's job is to do that, but then I'm just kind of pushing the problem into one place and then I still have to abstract it away somehow. So I don't know. It's probably fine. I think this is still a good bit tidier than before in general. Should this still be print line? I think it should be, actually. I like to go through in the browser and review my code in the GitHub diff view because it's just really nice. Let's see here. Yeah, this should be print line. It should be printf. Was this broken before? Oh, it was different before. No, it should be printf. It should be printf. It's fine. You often do that. It's a forced last call. Yeah. So I think overall this made lots of places tidier, which is good. I'm not completely happy with it yet, but I'll take it for what it is, you know. Same thing, same thing. Hey, MacB, welcome. Thanks for the follow. Good to see you here. Yeah, this is probably better than before, but it's not the huge improvement I was hoping for. Let's see. Yeah, this split along the package boundaries as far as passing in things like the logger and stuff is pretty rough. I think overall, though, I'm probably just going to ship this as is and then continue working on it. So let's just go ahead and cherry pick this over to the main branch, I suppose. And push. Okay. Now we can get onto other things, hopefully. So what else did I want to do? Oh yeah, the systemd notifier stuff. I think it's probably another candidate for being pulled into that context type. So right now this is passed just into the server. Let's see here. There are use cases where it would be nice to notify systemd in other areas of the program, but I don't remember how it works. So if the application starts up and things are fine, but then an interface goes down and we notify systemd about it, I don't know what actually happens at that point. So I guess we need to do some research really quick. SD notify. Service is reloading its configuration. No, that's not what we want. Stopping status. You can do a lot of really interesting things with this, but a lot of these are mostly relevant to things like C programs. What's also nice about this program is it's effectively stateless, and because it's ICMP, there's no expectation of reliability, so clients will have to retry if things mess up, which is good because we can just restart the program without having to do things like graceful failover. Couples use systemd in some way too. Yeah, so the thing is like I assume that pretty much everybody's running this on Linux under systemd, so what I have is I have this SD notify type, but let's see here. This. If you are not running under systemd, it will basically null itself out, and then all of the methods check for nil. So like this becomes a no op. So if you are on Linux, I can actually log into my router and I can show you what this does. Until someone wants to run into a container systemd is fucked. So what's nice about this too is that unless you set systemd unit type equals notify, I don't think it actually matters. So what this does is you'll see here, server started, all tasks running. That's what this SD notify package is doing. It's telling systemd like what's going on, so that way the user can see it, and it will also inform systemd when the daemon's actually up and running instead of like just starting up. So when the service starts, if all the network interfaces aren't up, it will continue to retry, and it will actually handle that pretty gracefully. And if you eventually do get them all up, the program will figure it out. It will load itself fully. Yeah, exactly. It's like a readiness probe for systemd, more or less. If other init systems that people would actually use support this as well, I'm not opposed to doing that. It's just that I use systemd, and I figure most other people will as well, probably. So it works. Hey, random question. What should we look out for when we review Go code? My teammate asked me to review his Go code. I think that if something I see a lot is people who are prematurely optimizing things like, performance, like they think that something's going to be a performance problem, or I think simplicity really is key when it comes to Go. Like you want the code to be simple and readable first. And if you need to have some kind of like crazy hack or optimization, it needs to be justified well. And also, one other thing that immediately comes to mind is if people create premature interfaces, or, yeah, that too. If people create premature interfaces or have an interface with like 10 or 15 different methods, like you've got the wrong layer of abstraction there. But yes, also excessive use of channels is definitely a common one too. Actually, what is the Go Proverbs? This is a good page. If your code does not follow these rules, you are probably doing something wrong. Premature interfaciation. Is that a word? Huh. Yeah, if your Go code doesn't follow these kind of philosophies, you are probably on the wrong track. Oh, it's not. Gotcha. Yeah, no problem at all. What else was irking me with this code? Definitely some of this stuff we were just talking about, like passing these out of the context again into another package. Kind of stinks. I wonder if I could pull these dialer types out elsewhere, you know? Pass it as a dependency, maybe. And when you start this, it's got a couple of different... It's been a while since I've looked at this code, so... The only place we reference the mode is for setting the interface auto configuration state. It's been quite a while since I've done like a release of this. Go build also brings up cargo build. Yeah, it would. Hey, Taryn, thank you for the subscription. Welcome back. Appreciate that. What else needs to be done? Prefix deprecation. Yeah, I guess that's why I started this whole thing, right? So something I want the ability to do is when a user says, when you have a prefix in your network you'd like to remove, one of the easiest ways you can do that is through router advertisements. But right now we don't support any kind of functionality for doing that. So I've started to plumb in this configuration tunable. So let's see. So when you specify a prefix now, you can actually set the prefix as deprecated as well. And the idea with that being, when your program starts up, or when CoreRAD starts up, it will track the time that it started, and it will treat the prefix lifetimes as a counter that is ticking down to 0. So if you say the prefix is valid for 24 hours, then in 24 hours time, the prefix will expire. So I've got this plumbed into the config now, but it wasn't plumbed into the program, and that's why I started this whole context thing, because I want this information, but I didn't want to have to pass it to as a parameter to every single function. It just got really nasty. So now we have the ability to clean it up. So I suppose what I could do here, how do I want to handle this? Because if we pass this as a fourth parameter, then suddenly every call site does need to change. So again, we're back to the functional options type thing. Hey, hello, welcome. Time for coffee. Yeah, coffee sounds really good. I don't really need any more, but I kind of want more. So here's a question. I can never remember, how do you, let's see here. Epic. So this is pronounced epic and not epoch. I always thought it was like the Unix epoch. Okay, epic. So the epic is the time when the program starts up, and then we can use that as the base time for our calculations for things like prefix deprecation. So I think what I want now is the ability to specify that time, and then use that time for things like prefix deprecation. So that would get plumbed into the advertiser. And this has the scheduler, send workers. So it would get built into the router advertisement here. So this is where we would check for prefix deprecation and deal with that. So how do I want to do this? Prefixes. Do I have to look at every prefix? Yeah, I think I probably do, don't I? Oh, wow. Yeah. So we have to inspect the interface configuration for any prefixes which are deprecated, and then inspect the router advertisement and change the fields. That feels gross, too. So there's going to be lots of type assertions here, which I don't really like either. So this is in the config package. This is probably a more logical place. And then we have these plugins that apply to a router advertisement. So perhaps the plugin would be constructed with the epic. Yep. So I passed the deprecated flag in. But these are constructed in the config, right? I think. Plugin right here. So the prefix is parsed from the raw configuration and created here. So now we know if it's deprecated or not. So I guess at this point, should this config be parsed with the epic passed in as a parameter? I guess, probably. That probably makes the most sense. And that way, it's not actually a responsibility of the server at all. It's a responsibility of the config system, because the config knows how to generate a router advertisement given an input configuration. So I think that's probably going to be the cleaner approach, actually. But that begs the question. So let's see here. We have to pass that into our program somehow. And the way that we're going to do that is either as a parameter here, which isn't quite right because we'd want it to apply to the plugin itself, and probably not right here. Well, the options are that we either pass it as a parameter to this router advertisement function and do it on the fly, or we have to apply it at plugin creation time, because the plugin knows which prefix is deprecated or not. So I guess probably the config time is the correct time for this, because it's not like this value can change on the fly. It's like it's either deprecated or it's not. So we don't have to query for the state of it right here. It's a known quantity at the start of the program. So honestly, I'm tempted to pass the epic as a parameter to parse. I mean, that's the top level type, and this could be used for deprecating other things as well, like DNS servers and etc. So I guess that's what we're doing. The epic is not 0. It is used to calculate deprecation times for certain parameters. So now any place that you parse the config will need to have the epic as well. Interesting. I guess it's probably okay. It seems like probably the most sane option. You end up just having to plumb all this stuff in throughout like your entire program, like passing it down as parameters, but it makes things easier to test, so it's worth it. Although I guess what I could have here is I could have like a config parser type that takes some of these things as parameters. Might be easier, or as a struct fields, which might be easier, but I haven't done that yet. Heading out to go hiking. Nice. Jealous. Have a good time. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. So the lifetimes now don't change, but the prefix plugin does get modified in such a way where, actually, I guess I don't need to pass this at all. Prefix. So instead of passing this to the parsing function, I can just apply it directly. Is it cleaner to do that? Like, this is one of those things where it's kind of silly. Like, you pass it as a parameter just so it can get put into the struct, or do I pass it in outside like this? I guess it's probably fine. Chiron, hey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome. Because there's nothing in here that would use it, because it's all going to be determined like at runtime with the apply function. And this is all parsing from the config file. I guess I might as well do this because I feel like it's just going to be less hard to forget because it's a mandatory parameter. Where? Okay, so now the prefix type needs an epoch field. Let's see here. So these are hard-coded or parameters from configuration. Whether or not this prefix will be treated as deprecated when the prefix is applied, and the time used to calculate the expiration time. And this dynamically fetches the interface addresses when needed. Right, so if the prefix is deprecated now, we'll get the deprecated flag and we can use that. So we have the preferred and valid, and we either need to calculate these or use the hard-coded value. So if P deprecated and the epoch, how do I want to do this? So these are going to be durations, right? I think these are durations. So we can do some time math. P lifetimes, something like that. Valid pref. Create a new method, make this a little tidier. Lifetimes, duration. As much as I hate named return values, I think this is one of the only use cases where they make sense. So you have valid and pref time duration, like that. Lifetimes calculates a prefix's lifetimes as either fixed values or dynamic. So fixed values or dynamic ones when a prefix is deprecated. Right. So if not P deprecated, you return the valid lifetime and the preferred lifetime. But if it is deprecated, we need to do some calculations. So we take the epoch, which has to be set. So if the epoch is 0, what do? That would imply a programming error. So I suppose this is something I'd rather have blow up in my face. So P epoch 0. Internal plugin. Yeah, it's like plugin cannot calculate deprecated prefix lifetimes with 0 epoch. This has to be something valid because we need to pass a duration that makes sense to the neighbor discovery library, or else we're going to get very confusing errors. So valid is going to equal the epoch, so the time since the epoch, right? So the current time since the epoch, no. So let's say, for example, the valid time is 24 hours. We know when the program started. We need to specify how much time has passed since the epoch. So valid equals the time since the epoch. Yeah, I think so. And we're probably going to swap this function for mocking anyway, but now since sub epoch sub epoch. How much time has passed since the epoch? And if it's less than 0, then we need to set the times to 0, I think is the answer here. So no, this isn't right. We need to subtract. We need to take the time of the epoch and add the durations, and then, so let's see here. So valid equals time. Now add, no. Epoch, add the current valid lifetime. So we take the epoch and we add the valid and preferred lifetimes. If those times are past now, then I need to remove them, I think. So these are now time values, right? Yeah. We need durations. Valid t, pref t. So if this is one of those silly things, but it's like my brain's just not working on stream. Like, I know this is an easy math thing, but I feel like I should just like write it down. Get like a piece of paper. I have anything here at my desk. Let's see. I grab a piece of paper. One sec. So what we're going for is whether or not the prefix has been deprecated since the program started, which is the epoch, compared to the current time. So the prefix is not deprecated, but if it is, we take the time and we add it to the epoch. So if the prefix is already expired, then we return 0. So if now is after the valid t, it's no longer valid. If now is after the preferred time, it's no longer valid. But otherwise, we need to do a calculation. Valid equals how much longer it's valid for. So valid t subtract the current time. I think this is right? So either it's after the current time and it's negative, or otherwise we subtract the expiration time versus the time now, and that tells you how much time there is left. I think this is right. I think that's right. And now we can write tests, which will actually confirm my suspicions. So what? Oh, it's not actually plumbed in yet. Right. So we're going to need to be able to swap this time now function as well. Fun. This is going to need some kind of function for swapping the current time. It's the real system time. Functions which can be swapped for tests. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Plugins. Let's look at the tests. Close all. Bunch of prefix tests in here. So we'll calculate a deprecated prefix. So the prefix is preferred for the next 10 seconds, so it's expired in 20 seconds. So $64. This would be used for Slack. So autonomous, true. I feel like it's been a while since I've looked at this code. I'm having a good time. Hope you all are as well. Yeah, excuse me. Let's see here. So we need the epoch and then the current time. So the epoch is going to be time Unix 5. Sure. And then the current time is going to be a function which returns a fixed value. Time Unix. I guess we'll make it so the epoch is 1, and then the current time is 5. So actually, we'll make it so the time is 11, because that way the preferred value will have already expired, but the valid value should be still present. So deprecated true. There we go. Okay. So the time is 11, so that means the prefix is considered valid for another 10 seconds. That doesn't seem right. It's the second off, right? Oh, but the epoch is 1. I see. Okay. I think that's right. Because if it's 2, there'd be 9 seconds left. Right? I think I got my math wrong here. So the valid lifetime is 11 seconds. I think my math might be backwards or something. So you take the epoch and you add the valid lifetime. That's when the time is valid until. It's valid until, preferred until, from the epoch, add the lifetime, correct. So this is the time when the program started. So if the current time is after or equal, now to after, so if now dot equal, we want to check both these actually. Right, so the preferred time, subtract how much time is left since now. An epoch of 1, a time of 10. Let's go with this. Why? So we're off by 1. Why does it say the preferred lifetime? Oh, because the... Oh, I guess that would make sense. So it's preferred. How about now? Now it's 0 seconds. Okay, okay. I think we're getting somewhere. But why would the valid value be... Did I mess up the... Ah, I see what I did. This would cause bad results for sure. There we go. Okay. So the valid time left is 10 seconds, but the valid lifetime is 20 minus... Oh, but I guess the epoch would be... Okay, okay. No, this is right. I think this is right. So the preferred time, there'd be no time left on it, and the valid time, there'd be 10 seconds left. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Deprecated prefixes. And I think once I get this functionality done, I'll be able to do a new release, which would be good too. So I want to test the other cases as well. So the cases where things are not deprecated, that's already done. But the case where now is after the valid time. Let's see here. This is just a single prefix. Okay, so deprecated but valid, right? So the cases we have here are deprecated and nothing is expired, deprecated but still valid, and then deprecated but invalid. Preferred and valid. Okay, preferred and valid, deprecated, valid. Okay. To test a non-exported function, I often find myself writing a test to go within the same package, not package test, so I can easily test it. Yeah, I see what you mean. The thing is, I've already got like tests that test like basically this exact code, so I'm just doing that. But in general, yeah, you're right. If there was something that was a lot of if I had a lot of corner cases, I would definitely be doing things a bit differently. But I am not, because I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going with this at the moment. So, cool. Okay, so deprecated, preferred, and valid. So the preferred lifetime, there are 6 seconds left. Yes, preferred lifetime, 6 seconds left. And the valid lifetime, there are 16 seconds left. Is that true? It still seems off by... No, it's not. It's actually not. Okay, never mind. So that works. Preferred and valid, deprecated, valid. I'll make this... Well, I guess it's fine. Deprecated and invalid. So the prefix is no longer valid. If you keep serving a prefix that has the valid and preferred lifetime set to 0, I wonder what happens. I think that clients would remove it, but... So this is exactly what we're doing right now. So if you need to consider the following example, in which a prefix is initially advertised with a lifetime of 2 months, but on August 1st it is determined that the prefix needs to be deprecated and removed due to renumbering by September 1st. This can be done by reducing the advertised lifetime to 1 week, starting on August 1st, and as the cutoff gets closer, the lifetimes can be made shorter until by September 1st, the prefix is advertised with a lifetime of 0. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Might still think the prefix is valid. The only way to force a node to stop using a prefix that was previously advertised with a long lifetime is to have that node receive an advertisement for that prefix that changes the lifetime downward. Continue advertising the prefix with a lifetime of 0 from September 1st until October 1st. Okay, great. So this means that we don't have to do anything else. Like, I was a little concerned we would have to go into a scenario where I have to remove the prefix after like a certain number of advertisements, but we don't have to. We can just leave it on. It's good. Cool. Let's see here. I'll take it. Let's go fix the rest of the call sites. 156. Parse prefix. So I feel like we should test this somehow, but I'm not sure exactly how yet in this config parsing code. 605. Deprecated equals false. Let's do this explicitly. That should be fine. Okay, cool. What is going on? Let's see here. Oh boy. What did I miss out on this time? All right, sorry about that. So this works for the parsing stuff. Oh, actually, we should make this true probably. Okay, now we need to fix the config tests as well. 263. Keep using an empty epic for all of these because I guess it's fine. Like, it doesn't affect the parsing at all. It affects the application of the prefix later on. Which I guess is kind of weird. Like, maybe we're putting this in a weird spot, but I feel like this is the most natural place with the current configuration. Right, and we need to plumb in the epic in the beginning too. Parse the config with this startup time as the CoreRAD epic, which is used to control the deprecation of various RA parameters. Cool, so we can actually test and see this working in a sec here too, which should be pretty good. So let's do that. We'll take a prefix and we'll mark it as deprecated. And we'll give it a preferred lifetime of 30 seconds and a valid lifetime of 1 minute. Ah. Macros. So what this will do now is we will see the prefixes and then we should lose the addresses. Oh, panic. Can I calculate deprecated prefix lifetimes with 0 epic? Okay, so I forgot to plug it in somewhere. It's good. It's a good thing I panicked. I think it's right here. Yeah. Yep. That fixes that. Okay. So the prefix is valid for 53 seconds, preferred for 23. So you can actually see it ticking down now, which is great. So IPAS CRAD v1. So we actually have some Slack addresses on this interface, and they should disappear on us. So Preferred for 8 more seconds. 6 seconds. 4, 2. Deprecated. Nice. Sweet. So that works. Works quite well, actually. But why is the kernel reporting like 8,000 seconds valid? Maybe there's like a minimum valid time or something. So I guess we'll wait for that to expire. Oh, sorry, you all probably can't see that as well because my picture's there. But yes, it's ticking down, valid 0 seconds. Okay, so now the prefix is being advertised, but it's no longer valid. But for some reason, the kernel is still treating the addresses as valid for up to however many seconds. Why? Is this just some funny neighbor discovery parameter? I guess I'm not sure. Let's try this. Okay, so that extended the lifetime by a bit, so there must be some minimum it's enforcing. Yeah, 7,200 is an hour, so 5 minutes. Let's try that. Yeah, it looks like it's enforcing a minimum of like 7,200 seconds. Interesting. I wonder why. Maybe that's like a sysctl parameter, something like that. Cool. Well, this seems to work. Cool. So one more thing, we can actually test this another way. We can look at it through the web, the web stuff, or the metrics. So I want to take a look at those really quick too. So let's run this one more time. Prefix. Metrics. There we go. 15, 11, 10, 9. Yeah, it's ticking down. Sweet. Nice. Beautiful. And I'm pretty sure the neighbor discovery layer, how does that treat it? One sec. I think that rounds to the second. We can get higher resolution in this service, but I think my code that I wrote for the neighbor discovery stuff will round to the second. Router lifetime seconds, router advertisement. Oh, that's the options. It's an option, isn't it? Let's see here. Prefix. Seconds, yep. A floating point number of seconds. That's probably, it looks a little suspicious to me, actually. I might want to round that a little better than I am right now. Because it's going to return a fractional portion, and I guess I'm converting it to an integer, so I guess in theory it's doing the right thing, but maybe I want like a time round in here too. So like something like, let's see here. Really? Second stat. Yeah, maybe I want to maybe change the rounding here a little bit. Probably gotta take a look at that really quick. I don't think I'm gonna stream for super long today. Probably, I don't know. We're coming up at a little more than 2 hours, maybe another 20, 30 minutes. You know, we'll see. But I want to go play some more Ghost of Tsushima. I've been having a good time with that. And also Fall Guys. That's pretty fun too. Internal plugin support for prefix deprecation. Right. You were just about to ask. Taryn, are you going to stream today? Yes, I'm playing Fall Guys, actually. It's very fun. If we're not friends on Steam yet, we should be. Done. Perfect. I guess it's worth noting I'm playing Fall Guys on PC, though. I know it's on PS4 as well, but for crossplay, crossplay is not a thing yet, and I wanted to go PC because I figured that that's where a lot of my friends would be playing. Let's go to my neighbor discovery package for the first time in a minute. Prefix tests. Oh, tests. Let's see here. I guess let's look at all the places in this code base that we use rounding that we probably should round. So, sorry, seconds. Because I'm guessing all of these should be rounded. Although I guess the UN32 conversion is also doing some rounding, so I can't decide if this is necessary or not. I guess we'll take a look and see. Something like that. These tests have quite a lot of output. What's that test called? Let's run equals test option Marshall. Where is my log output in here? Shoot, it's not what I wanted. There we go. Looks like it's doing the right thing, I guess. I don't know. Should I add explicit rounding here? Like, is there any danger of not doing so? Or I guess the UN32 rounding is probably sufficient. Because if somebody puts in a fractional number of seconds, then... 1200, 1200. Oh, but that's not fractional, though. That's why. A sec. $1,200.00001. Yeah. Looks like it's okay, probably as is, I guess. That's good. Okay. Well, maybe there's nothing to worry about, I suppose. Taryn, I have a question for you. Were you going to stream today? Because I suspect I'm going to be wrapping up pretty quick here, actually. I've accomplished probably what I wanted to, and I want to go play games. If you're not going to stream, no big deal. We can go play Fall Guys. Maybe. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to work on today. You're going to stream hacking on Bluetooth stuff, but I'm having Blue Z woes. That's a bummer. Sorry to hear that. What else did I want to do before I tagged the next release of this? Because I feel like we're ready for another one. I kind of want to tag 029 now that I've got prefix deprecation implemented. What have I done since the last tag? $24 commits to master. There we go. The website, logs. Oh, that's right, SIGHUP. So now we've got this set up so that if you SIGHUP it, it will actually reload without dropping your default route, which is good. Because that's something that's really annoying. So I need to update my systemd unit. I guess this is probably in a good place where I could consider fixing it up. Or consider tagging a new one. 028, probably. Let's do it. It's been a while. Cool. How does this script work again? Version number. And that creates a commit and a tag. Right, okay. .028, right? More time. .028. -S unknown. Oh, did I want capital S for signing? I think I probably did. So get -S v028 tag -m v028. Not -S. Really? Oh, get tag -S maybe? Tag -S. Ah, there we go. Oh, I can't edit right there, can I? Make a release. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, it made 2 commits here. Shoot. Oh, this is where I messed myself up with rebasing, I'm sure. Squash. Did I actually do the tag? Shoot. Did it again, didn't I? Yeah. Hit tag -h. Tag -delete v028. What a mess, huh? Let's go ahead and forget those commits ever happened. Drop. Okay, and one more time. I'm still terrible with Git. I do my best, but oh, shit. I didn't fix the script, or it's not committed that way. Let's see here. One more time. Drop. Okay. Git tag -s. Okay, fixed -m. Okay. For real this time. Okay, and we have a tag. Okay, excellent. Okay, git tag 28 time. Excellent. Push. And push the tags. And now I can update my Nix packages package as well, so we'll do that too. So that way I can start running this on my machine. Nix. Now, it's actually been a little bit since I've done this, so I'll have to remember what all it takes. But anyway. Why'd that come up over here? Oh, yeah, I was working on my modem manager exporter stuff. Let's see here. Networking. CoreRAD. Okay. So my systemd unit now needs to reload. When you reload it, it needs to send sig hup is the signal for a reload. Systemd reload signal. I know there's exact reload, but I also want there's a signal. You can just signal it directly, right? Reload. This is the same man page, I think it is, just in a different format. Restart equals, let's see here. If there's anybody out there who knows systemd, I know there's some way to specify the reload signal. Signals. This is for systemd. Kill, this is where it is, I think. Hang on a sec. So kill signal, restart, kill signal, stuff like that. So I think what I want is the restart kill signal specifies which signal to use when restarting a service. And restarting means like systemctl restart, right? So I think this is what I want. So I'm pretty sure that'll work. So now whenever you specify a reload with it, it should work, I think. And now we bump the package. Let's see here. I think it's under like tools for some reason. I don't remember exactly why. That was just kind of the convention. Packages, tools, networking. Right here. Yep. Okay. So now Nix prefetch. So this gives us the Nix hash. Okay, so I put this in my file. And I don't actually know if the vendor SHA is going to change or not, but Nix build -a CoreRAD. This will do a build with all the Nix environment stuff, magic, new versions of Go, etc. And it will let me know if the hashes are wrong. So it wants this hash. Okay, good enough for me. There's probably a better way to do this, to be honest with you, but I just don't know. Oh, got. The got hash is what I want. Okay. Result bin CoreRAD -H. Yep, 028 beta tagged today. Perfect. Okay, let's go make a PR. Nix packages. Spelled that wrong. It's okay. Need to look at my previous PRs for reference, because I can never remember the procedure here either. 027, 028. Okay. Tested. Should I do the test? I guess I could. Nix build, tests, Nix OS tests, CoreRAD. Okay. Run the Nix OS test. That'll actually verify that things all work as expected. Should be pretty quick too. And in the meantime, we can start the commit and stuff. Nix OS. Oh. CoreRAD 027 to 028. Right? Push this to my fork. And we can get to work on the PR as well. Okay, so motivation, new CoreRAD release, special handling of SIGHUP. Test using sandboxing, yes, on other Linux. It is tested. Tested the binary, yes, we did that, and it does fit the contributing, so. Looks like the test passed. That's good. Oops, shoot. Okay. Copy this. Builds and runs. Tests continue to pass. Cool. Looking good. Tag a couple of folks. Where's Sam? For help on previous PRs. Okay, create the pull request. And then we tell it to run the tests in their CI infrastructure, which runs on all the platforms and stuff. And we are pretty much done. Good stuff. All right, gang. Well, with that, I think we're going to call it a stream for today. It's been fun. It's good being back. Hopefully, I will do more streams probably next weekend. I don't think I'll stream tomorrow probably, but we'll see. Yeah, good to be back. Had fun working out with you all. Yeah. Hope you had a good time as well. And if you have questions or anything, feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Gopher, Slack, etc. And with that, we will call it a stream. So I'll see you all later. Bye now.